That there's some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Envy, and I'm one half of the NWA Women's World Tag Team Champion. And I'm Kinsey Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called again? Podcast, period. Or you're ugly. Period. Freedom Power approved. Alright.
Are you ready?
Power. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance.
God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast, with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
Hi, I'm J. Cal. That's DKM. We're the Alliance Guys, and we're here to talk to you about the National Wrestling Alliance. Hey, everybody, this is the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of alliance-wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance, where our news is verified and sourced.
When?
Always.
No. Yes. Verified and sourced. Verified by us, sourced by anonymous people who won't let us say their names.
Oh, that's not called reporting. That's called speculating, DK. There's a difference. I'm having a feud right now, and I wouldn't even call it a feud, a back and forth with somebody who's reporting that the NWA has that the NWA has signed an agreement with CW to air both Power and another show. And when I pressed them, I said, well, who's your source? They said, I am the source. You can't be the source. You were, and I kind of asked him, I said, hey, I messaged him. I didn't message him. I tweeted it and I said, like, do you work for the NWA? Like, what's going
or the CW?
Yeah. And I was just kind of surprised. I don't know, man. I would love for all of this to be true, right? Like, I would love for this deal to be signed, sealed, and delivered. I would love for the NWA to be on CW, to open up to more markets, to be out there. But like, let's be realistic about things, right? Like, nothing is official until it's made official by the reporting parties, right?
Yeah, and I realize that in some ways we're dealing with a younger audience, but you don't have to go that far back. Just 20, 21 years or whatever, when I guess 22 years by now, with WCW. Eric Bischoff and his group were boys to buy it. Bischoff was saying so. Others were saying so. Everything was ready. And Bischoff even made an appearance on Nitro one week saying, hey, what's going on? We're inviting all the old champions back because they had literally a lot of them, retired a lot of them.
Yeah.
So, it's like, we're inviting everybody back and everything. And lo and behold, if the next week Vince McMahon wasn't on the show. And so it's not that we're necessarily doubting that there's conversations taking place or that there's a deal in the works. Just until Billy says something or CW says something or they release something together, you just gotta you gotta blow the horses a little bit and make sure.
Well,
because things do fall apart at the end,
and they do, and I'm gonna be careful what I say here because I am somebody that has information, but I've also been told that that information has to remain under the hat. So I can't share what I know because I can't say the source of where this information is coming from. But I can say this, that the NWA wasn't the only company trying to get a deal with CW. And that's all I'm going to say about that. There was multiple promotions trying to get a deal with the CW.
Right, and this is probably one of those areas where Billy Corgan being Billy Corgan is an advantage.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
And I think that's, what Poyo was saying when she was on the show. There are people that want to speak to Billy Corgan because they want to speak to Billy Corgan.
Yeah, and I get that too, right? Like, but I'm sorry.
I mean, use it to your advantage if you can. And, that was always my whole thing, even when it's like, if he can use it to his advantage, great, but I'm not going to put my thing on the fact that Billy Corgan's talked to 50,000 people, Because if we talked to 50,000 people, then 50,000 people have said no so far. And so now we got a news story, we got a new rumor, we got new things going on. So we're waiting. And we're going to see what happens.
In fact, I was just writing about that today. When I was writing the description for the show that Smackdown was on CW. Excuse me. Sorry. Oh, I sneezed. I'm allergic to Smackdown, apparently. The GM on Smackdown really grinds my gears, by the way. I digress. I mean, look, the CW, in its the era, the predecessor to the CW was the UPN network, right? UPN merged with the WB to create the CW, which basically stood for CBS and Warner Brothers. And when CW started, it took over UPN's program, some of UPN's programming. The first of which was Smackdown, which was one of the higher rated programs on UPN. So for a while, up until about 2008, Smackdown was on CW, and then things changed, of course, as they do. And it's been a long time since there's been wrestling on the CW, and it looks like if everything that's being suggested and rumored is true, it looks like wrestling will return to CW. But what I want to specify, I want to just make it perfectly clear, and DK, you've already said it, and I'm going to say it again. Nothing's official until you hear Billy Corgan announce when they're going to be on the air, what date it's going to start, or if CW does it. And I'm not trying to say that it's not going to happen. It's just I feel like there's a lot of conjecture and a lot of hearsay and a lot of like too many variables and too much unknown. It sounds like this is more rumor mongering than actual news being reported. Again, I'm not saying that we aren't imminent to have an NWA deal on CW, but I want to hear the NWA say it. At the very least, I want to trust a journalist like Mike Johnson to report it, you know?
And, and Billy has said they're talking. But, again, he hasn't said there's a done deal and we're just waiting to announce it. So, I mean, at the end of the day, do I think it'll happen? Probably. But again, gotta wait and see.
It's Noob says Mike Johnson or SRS. I got beef with SRS, and it's a one-sided. He doesn't know I exist, but we'll talk about that another time. Yeah, it's again because I'm gleefully optimistic, right? This is a brand, and DK and I both can attest to this. We've been podcasting about this since 2008. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. Some of you are. On Tuesday, celebrated 14 years of talking about the NWA in a podcast format. Usually, DKM isn't eating a sandwich while we're doing it, but nevertheless,
sometimes I'm eating cereal. Sometimes I'm eating spaghetti.
Is that
eating any number of things?
Is that Subway, by the way?
No, actually, it's Walmart.
Wow. Walmart, don't sleep on Walmart when it comes to that deli, man. You get one of those like 4-foot sandwiches, for parties and stuff. Mm-hmm. Whew, so good.
Well, this was they have a half sandwich, what they call a half sandwich, and it's about 6 inches. And it's like $4.50. Not a bad price. And then they have some footlongs, and it's like $6.50. And now that I'm old, I'm starting to sound like my mother. And I'm sitting there going, why would I pay $4.50 for half a sandwich when I can get the whole sandwich for $6.50? I can cut it in half and save the other half for tomorrow. Although tonight, I'm very hungry because I didn't eat much at lunch. So I'm eating all of it.
Fair, look, man, I last night we went to Jersey Mike's. You guys have Jersey Mike's in Texas?
Yes.
Ooh, that's something terrific, man. I like that Jersey Mike's.
If you can get them to wait on you, I really enjoy them.
What did you say?
If I can get them to wait on you, I can really enjoy them.
When we go, we just have to, we don't have a wait service. You just go right to.
No, I've gone in before where they've been so busy, you're literally standing in line, and
oh yeah,
every employee passes you and nobody says a word to you. For anybody that works customer service type things, let me tell you the one thing that will hack me off faster than anything else. That's being ignored.
Oh, for sure.
I'd rather 20 people ask me if I've been waited or tell me just a minute or something than to have 20 people look at me and never say a word or pretend like, yeah, we're busy over here. If you're that busy, then you probably don't need my business.
I agree with you. I worked retail for about 8 years with one of those big box retailers that have a price tag that's yellow. And my time there taught me, look, the customer is, I'm not saying royalty, but damn near close. And you do what you do to help the customer, and then you go back to your day. And that's, I don't know. I don't want to talk about retail. Let's get back to wrestling. Let's see. I see some of the quotes here in the chat, and I just want to address a few things. First of all, Mike is talking about letting my gray show. Brother, I've never once in my entire 44 plus years of life have dyed my hair. And what you're seeing is just what God's given to me. Got some grays coming in. It's all right. My wife likes the salt and pepper, so I'm good. And if it becomes more salt and pepper, so what? Gandalf was a stud. The next thing is Mike also was asking about hats. This particular hat, it is available in the merchandise section of the website, and also that's linked in the video description. Plus, we're going to get some new hats soon. I have a few concepts that we're working on, and I hope I hope that you will all be in on those hats. Anyways, Eric says hearsay is inadmissible unless, look, for all intents and purposes, yes, you could probably start that champagne popping now. But do we know what time it's going to be on? Is it going to be at 6:05 on Tuesdays? Or are they going to be moving to Saturday nights at midnight? How is this going to benefit?
3 a.m. Sunday morning. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of options. If this goes into a prime time spot, right? If we're talking that they put this on at 8 p.m. Eastern, Central, and Pacific on their channels, right? And it's like, in the middle of the week, if it's a Tuesday or a Wednesday or whatever, like, that's a big deal. And we will acknowledge that it is a big deal. But again, there's just nothing's been confirmed yet. And this could all just be hearsay, and I want an official announcement before I get all riled up and ready to party. I want a formal announcement. Dave Scooby has a good idea. And if it's true, have a block of WoW and NWA programming. Man, that would hurt WoW. I have people who I care about that work at WoW, and in fact, one of my favorite people in all of wrestling is La Reina del Rey in WoW. You might know her more commonly as Ruby Reyes, and she is a phenomenal athlete, a great wrestler. I enjoy her, but there is something different about how they present WoW wrestling as opposed to how the NWA presents itself. And I think one of them certainly looks a lot better than the other. What's a done deal? Test it to the NWA? No, Matt. I don't hate that idea. I don't hate it. You do. DK is not on board with that. I personally would be okay with it, but that's not something that's happening yet. Sean Mega says, I don't think it's prime time. It's probably like WoW in syndication. And again, that's not necessarily the worst thing in the world either. Whatever gets more eyeballs to the NWA, I'm all for. But again, if it's on at 3 a.m. on a Sunday morning, I'm not going to be watching it.
Well, and that is something that we have to consider. Is it, like, let's say it's CW.
Mm-hmm.
How is the CW?
Yeah.
Is it on the CW network? Or is it something that's going to be offered to the CW channels, the stations?
Yep.
And so you might have it at 3 in the morning. I might have it at 10 a.m. in the morning.
Remember,
and like around here, we had ROH, and ROH could change times every week.
Briefly, a few years ago, the United Wrestling Network had a deal to be on the CW, like the streaming version, the online version. I don't know if you remember that. Didn't last very long. But it was around the same time that they brought in Nick Aldis. They brought on El Patron. They brought in Chris Adonis. They had a lot higher caliber talent than they had previously because they were ramping up for something special on the CW like streaming platform that they briefly had. It didn't last very long. Matthew Underwood says SRS is kind of a douche. Yeah, look, I don't know him personally. I've never said two words to him. In passing, the one or two times we've messaged each other, it was pleasant. I've never said a negative thing about him. As far as I know, he probably wouldn't know me from a hole in a wall. But sometimes I feel like if you're gonna be a fan, if let me rephrase that. If you are reporting news, then you should be an unbiased journalist. Otherwise, you're kind of fanboying. And when you're like over the top about some things, I feel like that's more being a fan than an actual journalist. You're allowed to be a fan of the product, but show some bias, show some professionalism. And then the other part is, if you're going to predict that a company is going to be dead before 2024, you shouldn't be the one celebrating them getting TV deals or doing the right things or reporting on it as it's something like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. It just feels hypocritical to me. Him and Denise Salcedo, both of them proclaimed the NWA was dead, and I mean here they are making reports about it, talking about how great EC3 is, and they got this deal coming on CW. It's like, if it's a dead promotion, what are you wasting your time reporting on it?
Yeah, well,
Eric
that's a lot.
Sure. Asking for people to have integrity. You're right. That is asking a lot. Eric Dell says, J-Cow, we have the eggs. It's time to count the chickens. I want to do it, man. I want to be there with a lot of these people and celebrate this. But until it's confirmed from either WPC or CW, it's still just hearsay. Sam says, I love all the chatter and speculation. It's a cool time for us NWA fans. That retro, I agree with you 100%. This is fun. Man, how many times were we taking the L as NWA fans? Oh, Power has been postponed indefinitely during the pandemic. Oh, we're ceasing all operations during the pandemic. Oh, Dave Lagana been let go from the NWA. Oh, Jim Cornette leaves the NWA. There were so many L's there back to back to back. You know, even the most recent one, the Smackdown general manager leaving the NWA. I mean, so many L's back to back to back. And we're starting to get some wins, and I feel like that's a good place to be. It's fun to talk about success instead of lamenting about failure, right, DK?
Yeah, and that's actually a good segue. Because you may have noticed my name tonight.
I just thought...
Are you still there, or are you disappearing?
No, I want to make sure everyone can see it.
Yeah. So, I don't know that I have 5, but I have been thinking. And there are some things I really like about what the NWA has been doing recently. I watched Power this week, all of it, mostly. And I do think this set of tapings has been better. You know, I've already stated things I wasn't crazy about, but just in general, I think the overall action has been better. The commentary's been a hell of a lot better. So, you know, one good thing about the NWA right now is that Danny Deals has been a perfect partner for Galley. And I just feel like it has improved the commentary, you know, leaps and bounds. And, you know, not that I necessarily had anything against Tim Storm, who I'm a huge fan of. I wasn't the biggest fan of, you know, Velvet Time, but more the bickering aspects of some of the things. So I feel like Danny Deals and Joe Galley, they're, you know, they play off each other well. They do well. He's a good,
I'm sorry. Did you look at the graphic that Jane has?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It caught me. I thought it was the logo of okay, full disclosure, in the green screen when in the green room, excuse me, when Jaden was getting ready to come on, I could see the graphic, but it just looked like the album cover. Didn't think twice about it, and then when I bring it up, I see it's Billy Corgan on the. Oh, I think that's Big Mountain Thunder from Disneyland. Pop made me laugh. Okay.
We've been on about 10 minutes before, but I was trying to find that image.
You know what? You did the right thing.
Yes.
You win.
So Mr. J, Mr. Cal.
Yes, sir.
So name me one. I've named one good thing I like right now. I've named
with Danny Deals on commentary.
Danny Deals on commentary, and just the overall use with him and Joe Galley. So you name one thing that's good about the NWA right now.
The world's heavyweight champion is a traveling world's heavyweight champion. I maybe I'm old school in this philosophy, but a world champion who defends the title 4 times in 8 months is an inferior world champion. For me, the world champion should be out on that road defending that title day in and day out. I didn't like that Trevor Murdoch. I like Trevor Murdoch as a world champion. I didn't like the fact that he never took the belt outside of an NWA safe space. And although Matt Cardona did one time defend outside of the NWA, he even got it outside of the NWA. But sorry, my screen just went weird. But Tyrus didn't, and to me that was a turn off. That was boring. Because he wasn't defending it on power either. It just was very stationary, and that's not when I think of the 10 pounds of gold. When I think about the legendary 10 pounds of gold and leather daddy, I think about a world champion who does those things to be a world champion, that goes and wrestles 300 times a year. And I guess that doesn't happen these days, but I think about how Ric Flair was doing those Ric Flair things, or Dusty doing those Dusty things, or even to a lesser extent, Scrap Iron Adam Pearce taking that belt from both coast to coast, going to Australia, going to Mexico, going to Canada. Nick Aldis taking the belt to China, to the UK, to Australia. That to me is the definition of a world's heavyweight champion. And although EC3 is only like 55 plus days as world's champion, like he's defended that title at least 4 times already. And to me, like that's a net positive, nothing but good things. And the whole internet wrestling community hated Tyrus because of his Fox News takes. No, he was a bad wrestler. Because, EC3 doesn't have necessarily the most positive takes on life, and yet people are super excited that he's our world champion.
I love his takes on super kicks.
That's fair.
Jaden, do you have anything? The NWA is doing good right now?
I guess it would help if I would have watched it, right?
No, I mean, just in general. It doesn't have to necessarily be the show, but just in general. Is there anything?
Well, yeah. EC3 right now is a positive influence on Champion. I don't know what it is, but it just feels better since he's been there. I watched him just recently on the Ohio Valley Wrestling, where he wrestled a non-title match against a guy with an 80s gimmick, and there's a meme in there somewhere.
Very much.
But yeah, I like the fact that he feels like he is a real traveling champion, like he's actually something of it feels important again, and I like that feeling. So right now EC3, I will go on about how I think he's a positive right now in the NWA, and I think he still, that hair is horrible, but other than that, he's great.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to argue with you over the hair.
And that's from somebody that has actually right now probably more hair than Billy Corgan, but that's a different story.
You and Billy are about the same.
All right, so
I have some stubble right now.
Me too.
One of the things. Okay, so another thing that I think is a positive for the NWA right now, and this one might be a little bit controversial with some of the things I say, but hopefully not too. I think Pretty Empowered may be one of the best factions in wrestling right now.
You wait.
Okay, but okay, let me continue. I think Pretty Empowered may be one of the best factions in wrestling right now. And I think Kenzie Page will probably, over the long term, eclipse Kamille as a champion. I don't see her being a one-time champion, but I could see her being a multi-time champion.
You're saying Kenzie Page could be a multi-time champion?
Yes. As in, the one that, okay, we'll take title off her for a little bit, but it's going to go back on her pretty quick. And, but yeah, I mean, but just as a faction in wrestling, notice what I'm saying here, in wrestling, not in the NWA, in wrestling right now, I think Pretty Empowered, they've got that mean girl thing down. They are young, they are pretty, and they got skills, all three of them. even the 19-and-a-half-year-old.
Kylie, youngest NWA champion ever.
So, yeah, I mean, I think right now you got something good there. Multi-time loser of a belt. Who cares?
It didn't hurt Ric Flair much.
Yeah, I was going to say Harley Race, multi-time loser of a belt. Ric Flair, multi-time loser of a belt. Is that how we remember him? I mean, some say it, but that's normally the person that never held it or only held it for 2 weeks.
Mike disagrees with you. Says that they're pretty annoying.
Well, but that's actually part of their charm. I mean, they're supposed to be. You're not supposed to like them.
Can you believe that there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Blog podcast? Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is...
I could watch that all day.
So, well, yes, and we know why too. But getting past that, Jaden, what are your thoughts on Pretty Empowered?
I like Pretty Empowered. Being obnoxious, as long as you can be obnoxious enough that people want to see you get your butt kicked. Like a perfect example would be Dominic Mysterio. That's what you want in wrestling. I hated Tully Blanchard, and I wanted to see him get his butt kicked, just like DK. Same thing with I didn't understand. What was that?
I said hater.
Oh, I thought you said Tinder. I'm like, I don't know what you're doing on Tinder.
I'm a married man.
Yeah, that's never stopped the people before.
The guys.
What? What did you say?
So we're 90% of the guys on Tinder.
Oh, okay. I thought I misheard it. I thought he said something else.
All right. So anyway, you're talking about Pretty Empowered, Jaden.
Yeah, I actually like them as a gimmick. I like them as a faction. I hate nose rings, so they need to get rid of that stupid stuff. But if you're going to be in a nose ring, I'm grabbing it. I don't care. You have a nose ring in a match, I'm grabbing that damn nose ring and.
That's the way I feel about headbands. It's like anybody who has a headband and goes into a match, it's like the very first thing I tell their opponent is like, in a very worked way, take that headband and choke them with it. Worked.
Or pull it back and snap it. That'd be kind of cool too.
Something. Just, I mean, how would anybody in a fight react to somebody wearing a headband across their head?
Same thing for arm castles too. Tie them to the rope and then beat them up.
Exactly.
No one asked me, but can I say my 2 cents on?
I was getting ready to ask you.
Oh, thank you. So, greatest faction in wrestling today, I don't know if I agree with that, just because I really like what Judgment Day is doing in WWE. Greatest faction in the NWA, I think the best faction in the NWA in the Light Me One era definitely is Pretty Empowered, and I put that above Strictly Business. I put that above La Rebellion with all of it. I put it above everyone because to what a lot of people have been saying in the chat, they're annoying. Yeah, that's the point. Like what Jaden was just saying. Yeah, they're annoying. That's because you should want to see them get their asses handed to them. You want to see Ruthie J go out there and take the title off of Kenzie Page. You want to see Natalia Markova and Tara, what's it?
Rising?
Taylor Rising, excuse me. Taylor Rising. You want to see them take the tag titles off of them. And with Ella Envy's history, I wouldn't be surprised if she did lose the tag titles, because she is that champion that has won them and lost them multiple times. But with that being said, their mic work has been pretty phenomenal. Kenzie has really taken that next step. And that's why I know Kenzie Page is going to be a star in this industry. Because when she walked into the door, we all looked at her and didn't think twice. Oh, okay, another person in the ring. But she has evolved so much as a performer, as a wrestler. Her body shape has changed. She's in probably the best shape of her life right now. And I'm not trying to insult the poor girl. She was fine before, but she is svelte right now. She looks good. She wrestles well. She cuts a mean promo. I really feel like the voice of the Pretty Empowered is Ella Envy. I really feel like she's the one that like just owns that mic. But Kylie is a great rookie that's with them. Kenzie's killing it, obviously, as women's world champion. And Ella seems to just kind of hold it down with the tag team titles. I think it's a great division. I think, especially with all three of those ladies being very young, that this is something that could stay with the NWA for some time. And we might see.
Kylie's really good on social media.
Yeah, Kylie's great on social media. And there has been some detractors. Even our very own Tim says Pretty Empowered aren't better on the mic than the Southern Six, but they are a better faction.
I'm going to disagree. Because really, I think the only one of the Southern Six that's really good on the mic is Thrillbilly. Kerry Morton's improved, but I'll take almost anybody I'll take almost any of the girls from Pretty Empowered. Mike Worker,
that you would
over Kerry.
I would too.
Yeah, and Alex Taylor's improving. I'll grant him he's improving, but he does sound very rookie-ish. And so, yeah, I mean, it's just.
No, well, you know what? It's awesome about this chat is like there's some good conversation in the chat too. There's a lot of Southern Six love in there, and don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Thrillbilly fan, and I think Kerry Morton's fantastic. I like that faction as well. I just think if you took Ella Envy out of Pretty Empower, would it still be Pretty Empower?
Probably not.
No. So if you took out Ella Envy or Kenzie or Kylie, the whole thing falls apart.
Ella's probably the biggest thing that makes Pretty Empowered.
Okay.
I think if you took Kenzie or Kylie out, they would just be the McKenzie sisters or whatever. But let me give you an example of what I was talking about just on social media where Kylie was concerned.
Can I finish my thought real quick and then go ahead?
Yes.
What I was going to say is, if you take Ella Envy out of Pretty Empowered, you still have Pretty Empowered. If you take Kenzie out, Kylie out, it's still basically the same faction. If you took Thrillbilly, Silas Mason out of Southern Six, what do you got? Yeah, I'm somebody who likes. I very much like Alex Taylor, and I think he'll make a great junior heavyweight champion soon. And I very much like Kerry Morton, and I think very highly of Kerry Morton. But if you took Thrillbilly out of that faction, what do you got?
And I agree with that sentiment. Seeing where you're going, yes, I understand what you're saying. You could, I mean, you would still have Pretty Empowered if Ella was gone, but I don't know that you'd have Pretty Empowered. You'd probably have just a new version of that type of team. But yeah, Thrillbilly's out of the Southern Six. There's not anybody who can readily replace him in that role.
As Tim mentioned in the chat, is Roxy still in Pretty Empowered? Well, remember, Roxy was the third member of Pretty Empowered before Kylie came to the picture, right? So it's like they've already had that kind of metamorphosis that we haven't seen Roxy in months. So who knows where they actually stand? But you cycle out one member and it's still Pretty Empowered. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, Roxy was kind of brought in first as kind of like a trainee, and then, almost not necessarily liked by them at first. Kind of the same thing they're doing with the fixers, and that type of thing. So it'll be interesting to see if they do anything with that story. I don't know if she's still in the NWA or not. I honestly don't. But
I don't want to give anything away, but she was at the TV tapings, and I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, okay. So we'll probably get an answer soon. But getting to what I was talking about, like social media thing and being able to say things that Wrestling News said Now that NWA has signed with CW, still not confirmed, wrestling news, should they sign CM Punk to be their top star? Which, legitimate question that we've asked before.
Yeah.
Okay. Kylie quote tweets it with a picture of Pretty Empowered all holding their championship belts. And she goes, well, this is weird. The top star role is already filled by Pretty Empowered. Love the energy, though. Oh, my gosh. That might be a way that Jaden would be proud. And it was just a perfect response.
I agree with that. And again, she's 19. Social media savvy, sure. But that thought process, the fact that so confident in what they're saying, like that's great.
So here's my fourth thing, what I think good things about the NWA right now. And this might be controversial, but we've already kind of brought it up. But Thrillbilly is, I think, a very positive thing in the NWA right now. I think he's somebody that has the ability to go on to become that big star. I do like that picture, Jaden. And, but I won't say the Southern Six. I'll say Thrillbilly, because to me, he is a different level. It was almost funny that in the show during the interview that Alex Taylor and Kerry Morton were on one side of the interviewer and Thrillbilly was on the other, because it was almost like, here's your visual idea of the split. Here's your star, and then here's the other two guys that are in the NWA. So your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are Jaden's thoughts.
Let's go with Jaden.
Well, I think my meme right now is two rock stars and Billy Corgan.
I like that.
And he doesn't like nothing.
Yeah, that's true.
Yes, they're yelling at clouds, and actually, his new thing is he likes getting memes about being mean and nasty, especially at work.
Oh yeah,
yeah. But anyway, what was I liking?
Your thoughts on Thrillbilly? I'm listing him as one of my 5 good things about the current NWA is Thrillbilly, but not necessarily the Southern Six. Just my
thought is Thrillbilly and Sub is they never should have taken away from Porno, and they should have kept that going. I think this Southern Six thing, it was something they went with and had no idea where they're going, and it's completely obvious. So, and there's also only 3 of them.
Well, each man's got 2 fists, Jaden. That's 6.
Oh, is that what they're counting?
No, I don't know. I just came up with that. I don't know what it is.
Well, I think we
much better explanation than the NWA's called it. Did you hear me?
No,
yeah.
I didn't.
I said it's a much better explanation than what the NWA came up with.
What they come up with? Nothing. Well, I thought it was along the lines of Vanity Six.
Of what?
Yeah, I think you lost almost all of our audience on that one. It's sad that I actually know it.
Okay. If you know who Prince was.
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Okay.
He was a symbol.
Prince had a group called Vanity Six, 3 females called Vanity Six, later called Apollonia Six by the time Purple Rain came out because Vanity had left. And the reason they were 6 because he was counting boobs.
Well, they could be counting balls.
That was kind of the joke I was making.
All right.
So
first
Jay,
time I ever said balls on the podcast, and now I said it twice. Demonetized.
Really? That's nuts.
Exactly. What? You named something else that's good about the current NWA now. I've done 3, you've done 1, so we'll let you have the number 5 selection.
Well, let's get back to my thoughts on the Southern Six.
Oh, didn't you already express them when we were talking about the other two?
Oh no, well, okay, just real quick.
I'm teasing you.
Real quick. I think Thrillbilly is definitely a superstar in the making. There's going to be a lot of talk about this Iron Claw movie. We're going to hear a lot about, some of the talents that are in there. And I think in his very few scenes, because I don't believe that there's a lot about the Freebirds, I think Thrillbilly's going to stand out. I think he's going to get a lot of people's attention. If you watch the trailer, and the trailer doesn't spend a lot of time on the Freebirds, but you see them in the ring, and you know goddamn well that is Thrillbilly Silas Mason, who's been reincarnated in this movie. He looks just like Bam Bam Gordy. So I'm excited for, first of all, for that movie, but then second of all, what the trajectory is for Thrillbilly, because the guy isn't just a worker, right? Like, you put him in the ring and he can have a good match with almost anybody on the roster. We saw that when he wrestled against help me out, the Davey Richards, when he wrestled for that open weight national title. A lot of us were taken back. I did not know Thrillbilly could wrestle that well. Then we saw him in other instances where he's in the NWA wrestling and being more active, and his matches are getting better. He's looking better, right? And I'm excited to see what this guy brings to the table. Seeing Kerry Morton and the maturation process that he's gone through in the last year, where he went from this, oh, gee golly, baby face to one of the most vile pieces of S on the roster, it's been a great transformation, and he's catching heat. He's not Dominic Mysterio, but I imagine that the more that they get out there, the more heat he's going to get in Australia and Mexico. And some of the live events, he definitely gets the heat.
He is probably better in front of a crowd. There are some people that, you put them in the back and they only do so well. You put them out there with all the energy of the crowd, and they can take off. And my feeling is that he is better reacting to the crowd.
And I think Alex Taylor, remember, Alex Taylor was in the Ill-Begotten. Remember when that was a thing? And
I try not to.
And he was kind of like the workhorse of that group, and that's not to downplay Jeremiah Plunkett in any way, but he was the one that kind of went out there, and you remember he took that tumble off the ladder and hit the rope, and we all thought he died, and he was okay to wrestle the next day. And to your guys's kind of talking about yesteryear's Freebird, when we talk about P.S. Hayes, we talk about Gordy, and we talk about Buddy Roberts. He definitely is the Buddy Roberts of the group. He's going to be the guy that goes out there and gets his ass kicked, while Kerry Morton is the one that's egging everybody on. And then when Thrillbilly gets in the ring, he's gonna mess people up. So I feel like it is very much a Freebird reincarnation. I'm cool with the name, all that. I think it's good. Now, to what another thing that I think is good about the NWA. We've talked about the world champion. We talked about the hottest stable in pro wrestling today. We talked about the Southern Six, specifically Thrillbilly.
Commentary.
And the commentary is improved. Look, I'm going to say this, and I hope everyone understands me when I say this. The NWA in the Lightning One era had more wrestling shows in 2023 than it has almost previously combined. And sure, a lot of those events were tied to Smashing Pumpkin concerts. But you know what you can't tell me? That was a bad idea.
Oh, no, that was a good idea.
You know what you can't tell me? That didn't make a lot of sense. The NWA, if you go back prior to Power, had two events, right? 2019, they had the Crockett Cup that they ran in conjunction with Ring of Honor. And before that, they had that New Year's pop-up event that they did with Tried and True Pro Wrestling. They finally Power was introduced, and they were doing quarterly TV tapings and quarterly pay-per-views. That's like what, 6 or 7 events in a year, something like that.
Right.
This year alone, and you can go. They had the live event with Joe Kazana Promotions. They went to Mexico and did their big event with AAA. They had the 312 pay-per-view. They had the Australian tour, which was 10 shows in 15 days. They had the what was that? What was before the 75th anniversary show? Crockett Cup?
Yes.
I feel like I'm missing something else. And then they had those shows with Boca Raton. They had the other shows that they co-promoted with some other territories. And basically what I'm saying is that they did so many events, and that's a huge plus for the NWA. That's a huge positive. Not only does that generate revenue for the company selling tickets, but having the ability to take the show on the road. They're not just in the Georgia Public Broadcasting Studio anymore. They are on the road. They're out there. They're getting FaceTime with the fans. And
was that the best accidental thing that happened to them?
What's that?
Getting out of the Georgia.
100%. 100%.
I mean, it wasn't planned, but I think in the greater scheme of things, it worked to their advantage.
I think you're right.
That's some pumpkin you got there.
Tell that pumpkin to calm down. I'm a married man.
So I ain't smashing it. That's for damn sure.
How do you think they make pumpkin pie?
Yeah, well, we can't go there.
Demonetized.
Yeah, we want to keep Jay making money here.
Matthew Underwood said tires could be on the CW commentary team. Would you have anything against that, DK?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I wouldn't, because I enjoyed him on commentary the couple times he did it in Power.
What would you have against it, Jaden? I'm curious.
I don't know. I just don't dig him, and I think he's better off with the company. It's just he's gone and forgotten. You know, we don't want to bring up the sad times.
It's the sad times. Our joke of the week, Willie Bone, courtesy Matt. All the chairs would be broken. Let's see. Our pal Fuzz says, I think Kerry and others benefited from so many crowds to work too. Lots of learning. That's where they were forged. Remember, and I know Jaden still thinks that Thrillbilly belongs with Poyle Damar, and that was a fun run. But the whole spirit of that Southern Six was built on that Australian tour. The fact that they were all together, it built that camaraderie between the. At that point, there was 4 of them, but nevertheless, that's a byproduct of them being on the road, and more things like that will happen the more time they spend on the road together. They made some lemonade from these lemons. Drink up, fans. We're getting closer to being there. You know, we're getting closer. Even DKM said that the show was pretty good this week. He just didn't like the ending.
Yeah.
Scott B says, well, in fairness, COVID happened. That definitely didn't help anyone, the NWA included. Sure, you're right. You're 100% right. But you can go back to 2022. They did not have as many dates as they did, obviously, this year. You go back to 2021, and it was an abridged version because, again, they didn't really start running until the spring of 2021. But, again, not a lot of dates. And had that model continued to go with the NWA of the quarterly shows and the quarterly pay-per-views, we're still not talking about big business like they do now. The joint efforts with Boca Raton, the joint effort with Joe Kazana Promotions, the live event that they did on Power, the first time they ever did that, that's all beneficial. And I think it shows the NWA is moving forward. The Wildcat show, that was last year, sure. Yeah, you're right. COVID killed a lot of the business. Ring of Honor didn't survive. This is true.
Of course, Ring of Honor kept paying their people, but
that's probably what killed them, to be quite honest. Is the fact that
both New Japan and Ring of Honor almost didn't survive COVID because they kept paying their people, and it was one of those things. It was sad because they were doing what was a lot of people consider ethically right. There's a countdown on your battery there, Jay, or your.
Thanks, sir.
And, just goes to show you always got to balance things out. There's something else I want to talk about, and then I'm done for this particular evening. I kind of wanted Jaden to talk a little bit about this. I see somebody who was a licensed member and worked with affiliates and everything. Jim Cornette put something out talking about the NWA returning to the territories, and he brought up the fact that there's a difference between a territory and an indie promotion. And I'm assuming that you've had a chance to see that, Jaden.
Yeah, I've heard it. The NWA of old, when they considered somebody a territory, it wasn't as much as, they ran multiple places. Nobody was supposed to be able to promote in your particular area without your permission or paying you or something like that. That was somebody's territory back then. And that's quite different than what it is now. It's always kind of been an independent promotion with small minor differences, but it's always been since the modern NWA was formed, starting with Dennis Carluzzo. I mean, he had probably the biggest quote unquote territory because he promoted in Pennsylvania, and New Jersey, and New York, and he promoted up and down at multiple different towns and not 5 or 6 events a week, but he promoted very often. He had the closest thing to probably a real territory. Everybody else kind of mostly stayed in their small little area, but it's never been really about a territory in the traditional sense, going back from the traditional NWA. And what's to stop EC3? EC3 promoted in quite a few different places besides Ohio, if I'm not mistaken. What's to stop him from expanding out and doing multiple and having multiple wrestling out there? I mean, even Ohio Valley Wrestling, which did that tour in that summer, is not a true territory. They just mostly run out of spot shows and an occasional, and their big shows at their home base. Dog, they ran the MaxFit Sports Center, and occasionally they did stuff outside, like at Rowan University or the Little Lake Harbor Community Center. So, yes, he is 100% right. It isn't a traditional territory, but if it keeps somebody else that wants to be something and wants to promote the NWA territory, and they want to put the NWA championship on that, it would have to be obviously more than one reason, but it would have to be EC3's permission to do it. And I think that's what the territory system is right now. Plus, great marketing. Sounds bigger. Sounds better.
Right.
Franchises always have bad reputations. That's just the word franchise minus Shane Douglas. Just has with the NWA, he's got a bad reputation anyway, but you know what I mean? It has a negative connotation. What is it, affiliate? That just sounds minor league and small. What else is there? What other words could they use besides territory? It's the only thing to make it actually sound like it's important. It's marketing, semantics. Anybody disagree?
Nope. No. I watched the same video, and you guys know I'm not a Jim Cornette regular viewer, and it's not for any other reason. Just it's not something I make a lot of time for. I don't know that I disagree with a lot of the things he says. I don't know that I agree with a lot of the things he says. But in this particular video, what I really enjoyed hearing was someone who obviously has reasons not to like the NWA and to be snarky. He was neither. He didn't say anything really mean. He didn't say anything negative about Billy Corgan. He just said, yeah, it's not really a territory in the truest sense, but even he acknowledged it wasn't a bad idea.
He never had a problem with Billy. He's never really said anything bad about Billy. He really hasn't said anything bad about the NWA except for minor shots at Tyrus. And, you need a missile to shoot down Tyrus. But he has most of his stuff is against, as he called him, Liver Lip Lagana. That was his point of attack in the NWA.
Well, I still like Dave Lagana. I'm still buddies with him. That'll get me canceled.
I hate him. I don't think he ever liked me. Whatever, but I never hated him.
He didn't like you because you're part of the old NWA. That's why.
I think it was also guilty by association.
Yeah, That's 100% fact. You
I'm
got
surprised.
that a lot, though, man. That's,
Yeah.
You got that more than anybody I know.
Yeah, that's true. I'm surprised Dave likes me. I'm not even sure about. He always says he does, so I guess he does. I don't.
think
He's
he
never seen
does.
somebody say he wouldn't.
Look, as someone who considers Dave Marquez a friend, I don't even think he likes me, to be quite honest with you.
Well, yeah, but who does? I mean, your wife and kids, but
Well, at least two of them.
two of the kids.
the little one's like me now. It's the older one that doesn't. So okay.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So we did okay. What we did already today is we spent some time talking about the NWA. We talked a little bit about what we like, what they're doing. We kind of addressed the rumors about the television. All of these things are important, but one thing I think we need to do is we need to talk about. We need to give someone her flowers. We need to talk about a woman who held the NWA World's Heavyweight Championship. Who held the NWA Women's World Championship?
I'm telling you called her a heavyweight.
No, God, no.
You'd be a one-time victim.
She would kick my ass.
You wouldn't even have to pay for it.
She would kick my ass. I don't want any beef with her.
And twice on Sunday.
Can we not encourage that, please?
I'm just saying.
Everybody in the chat, put a poll up. Do you want to see Jay get his butt kicked by Kamille? Would next week on the podcast? We have to find a way to make it happen.
Let's go.
Hey, Kamille, Jay says you don't know how to chop.
Oh yeah, that'll be great for me. Thanks. So Kamille was ranked number 9 on the Pro Wrestling Illustrated Top 250 list, which is very admirable for lots of reasons. The least of which is that she was able to do this not backed by a huge multi-million-dollar conglomerate. She wasn't on TV every Monday night. She wasn't on TV every Wednesday night. Hell, she wasn't even on TV on a public access television program. She was famous on the internet, wrestling on YouTube, which so many women do. There's nothing wrong with that. There's a lot of great women's wrestling on YouTube, but not backed by a major wrestling promotion with major dollars. And I think we should celebrate the fact that Kamille, again, without the backing of a cable program, broke the top 10. Now, wrestling is subjective. Hell, even on this own show, we debate about whether wrestling is an art, or if wrestling is a sport, or if wrestling is what it is. But a group of writers and staff members from Pro Wrestling Illustrated all agreed that Kamille was in the top 10. That speaks volumes about what Kamille was able to do as the women's world champion. It speaks volumes about what they think about the Burke. And the fact of the matter is that if you look at the 821 days of Kamille's reign as women's world champion, she defended the title 41 times. And again, that's not backed by a cable company. That's her going out there, getting those bookings and working for the NWA. I don't know the exact window of what they scorecarded the 2023 top 250 women of wrestling. But if you're basically taking from this time last year till this time this year, she roughly defended the title 17 times, which is more than once a month. 8 of which of those were outside of the safe confines of the National Wrestling Alliance. I really feel like Kamille is very deserving of her flowers. She took the title to Mexico. She actually represented the NWA multiple times in Mexico with AAA. She took the title to to Canada. I think she went to the UK too, but I'm not 100% sure about that. She wrestled against some of the top women wrestling today: Taya Valkyrie, Kylan King, Chelsea Green, and she always came out successful, and obviously until recently. So I think we should just take a minute to acknowledge how great Kamille is as the women's world champion. And also, do you find it interesting that She's had one match since losing the title, and for this pay-per-view, she doesn't have a match at all. What do you think about that, Jaden?
I think she's trying to put the spotlight. We're going that last part first. I think she's trying to put the spotlight on her husband and doesn't want to detract from him, so that's probably why on that one. I also checked, and I might be wrong because it was real quick when I was looking. She is the highest ranked NWA World Women's Champion ever in the 250/100 that they've used in the past.
Okay.
So that's actually really something interesting too.
Yeah.
That's the highest, and I think if I remember, it was a significant I think the next highest was, I forget if it was Jazz or if it was
Thunder Rosa.
No, actually, I didn't think Thunder Rosa was that high. I remember they did it probably during the period of time because they go from, I believe, July 1st to June 30th. I think that's their what they do. I think for that time maybe she just wasn't champion long enough, but yeah, it was, I can't remember if it was her or if it was Allison Danger. Not Allison Danger. Allison K?
Allison K. Allison Danger, isn't that Colby Carino's aunt?
Yeah.
All right. So there you go.
So, but either way, it was a big jump between. I mean, the only three that I've seen, the only four I've seen listed that were NWA champion at the time was Thunder Rosa. I mean, obviously not counting Kamille. Thunder Rosa, Allison Kay, Jazz, and Casey Carlisle. So that was the only ones I saw that were actually listed at the time when that was happening. So that's a big thing too, I think. And Kamille, it's not her first time ranked in the rankings, but it's definitely the highest ranking she's had, and I think she well deserves it. I just want to know why she's not ranked in the BW 500.
Because she's not a black wrestler.
Either are half the wrestlers in the BW 500 if you really read the results.
I read, who was it? I don't remember the guy's name, but he tweeted about it, and I kind of laughed because he's like, as much as I am grateful that someone is thinking about me to put me on a list, I am not black. I don't qualify for this list. Look, part of me thinks that she should have been on the PWI 500 because there's been a lot of women wrestlers listed in there. And let's be perfectly honest. Kamille was carrying the NWA brand for quite some time since becoming the world champion. DK will back me up when I say this, that most of her matches were the highlights of the pay-per-views that she was on. She was putting down better matches than, let's say, Tyrus and Chris Adonis, right? She had a better match. She had better matchups than a lot of the title matches. But, DK, you're a very opinionated man. I think you, too, are a fan of Kamille. Tell me what you think about the Brickhouse.
She's a brick house. By the way, while DK's getting his thoughts together, the PWA 500 are women that actually wrestle men. They're the ones that qualify for that PWA 500.
Fair enough. By the way, if someone can make a GIF or a GIF or however you want to pronounce it of DK doing that dance, it'd be greatly appreciated.
Can I talk?
Yeah, go ahead.
Make that a short, please.
Yes. Look, I've been a fan of Kamille since the early days, and I was, glad when she won the title. She improved, one of the fastest improvers in the ring, and she's somebody who I feel that being the champion made her a better person, made her a better wrestler, and then that made the title more important as it went. Certainly deserved any high ranking she gets, any praise that she gets. There's just not a lot negative to say about her. We can nitpick, but there's just not really a lot negative to say about her. And, in today's age of the way wrestling works. I heard you saying, she had one match at like the TV taping. She's not on the pay-per-view to wrestle. And of course, some of that may be to give her a break and some time off and rest up and heal. And then some of it's too is that you gotta find that balance. If she's out there destroying everybody, then you need her in the rematch. And then what do you do? Back in the day before everybody knew what was going on everywhere, her and Kylie would probably already have had 2 or 3 matches, and it'd probably be, a disqualification for each of them and a double count out, and probably Kenzie winning 1 or 2 by, screw job or whatever. And so, unfortunately, in today's world, it doesn't work the same way. It's not easy to do that. And so it's kind of a shame, but, if she's sticking around the NWA, and I don't know if she is or if she isn't, hopefully they'll be able to use her in a good way and take advantage of everything that she gained over their, 2+ years as champion.
I do know that she will be on this weekend. She'll be working with Crossfire Wrestling. For those of you who aren't aware, Crossfire Wrestling is the home promotion for both Kenzie and Kylie Page. It's actually their family's wrestling promotion. They're doing a big show this weekend, and although it's not officially an NWA show, the World Junior Heavyweight Champion will be defending his title on that card. If I have the graphic right here. And they're on the first night. It's the Black Harvest. It's a 2-night deal, one with Crossfire Wrestling, the second show being Flawless Wrestling, which is a sister promotion. Then the next night we'll have, or night number 1, we'll also have Kenzie versus Kylie in a one-on-one match. This is like the main event for night number 1 is Juventud Guerrera versus Psicosis, which is a match that I would like to see even now. And then, of course, the woman of the hour, Kamille, will be there as she takes on the suplex machine, Ari Alexander. And then of other matches that are set to take place will be Ricky and Carrie taking on Rolando and Tyler Franks. Ella Envy will be there. Oh, this is for night number 2 with Flawless. Ella Envy will be there wrestling against Danny Jordan. And then also on night number 2, the inaugural Flawless Championship will be determined between Kenzie Page and Alice Crawley. So a lot of NWA talent will be at this event. Looks like it might be available at the Title Match Network. So if that's something that you're interested in, definitely check that out. Animated GIF. You're on it today with the different graphics.
Hard
B. It's not the only thing that's hard.
That sounds like a rapper.
Or next gimmick in the WWE.
Do you think, Jaden, that Kamille is going to be leaving the NWA at the end of the year?
Here's what I think. I think as long as Latimer is around the NWA, I think we're going to see Kamille, because I have a feeling she's not interested in going somewhere without her husband. But maybe I'm wrong. But can you imagine if Kamille was in the WWE with Charlotte and Becky and Jade Cargill? I want to call her Jane. It took me a while to figure that out.
That's from listening to all those
podcasts. Jade Cargill and everything like that. Imagine all of them right now battling in the women's division. Now the Triple H maybe is in charge too. Maybe they'll actually have a chance to be something important. So that'll be pretty fun, I think.
Yep. I mean, probably depends on money being offered. I wouldn't turn down a ton of it, so we'll see. We'll see. And also, I hate to say it like this, but it might also depend on the TV deal.
TV.
So, if there's a TV deal, which would get her more notice and out there.
Yeah, that's true. Money solves a lot of problems. TV solves a lot of problems, but I hope that people are not out there thinking that just because the NWA gets some sort of deal to be on television, that all of a sudden they're able to compete in the free agent market with companies like AEW or the WWE or even Impact. To be quite honest, I think it's a long time coming before you get to that point.
It'll just put a bigger target on their back to take their talent away.
And,
this is true.
Well, and again, it will give the exposure for them that if you're out there and if you're seen by more people, yes, you may have a bigger target on your back, but it also raises the dollars that you might be worth. And I'm actually going to disagree with Matthew here. I think Charlotte would be very interested in wrestling her if, under the right circumstances, because Charlotte's in this business to make money. And, you can tell the people who are in this business to make money. And they're the ones that are basically wanting to be on top and wrestling those who are on top.
I think what's that?
The talent that's really, really, really trying to make a buck. Did that go over your head? Okay.
Well, I was telling Jay to move his mic, and then I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I said a talent that's really trying to make a buck.
Funny.
Anyways, getting back to yeah, it still is. I do still feel like Kamille has a lot of gas left in the tank. I think she could still be a driving force for the NWA. I'm glad that she's taken a little bit of time off from actively wrestling in the NWA. I don't know if that was her choice or the NWA's, but it allows her to come back a little bit renewed with the next set of TV tapings. We know that the next set of TV tapings, it's right around the corner, but it's also feels like a very long time away because the next TV tapings aren't going to be till November 4th. So it's the week after the pay-per-view. And it's scheduled to appear. You see EC3, Tom Latimer, Kamille, Kenzie, Natalia, Southern Six, Murdoch, Ruthie J, Samantha Starr, Pretty Empowered, Aaron Stevens, Blunt, Force Trauma, Magic Inc., Colby Carino, Max the Impaler, and many more. So if you haven't got your tickets yet, get them. As somebody who waited to the last minute, it's not fun trying to scramble to get there. Get your tickets if you plan on going. And now he's a TV.
Or a Martian.
Or a Martian. Let's see. So also what we were supposed to talk about is, and I always like having this kind of a conversation with somebody who has experience. Jaden was working both with Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators and a few other wrestling promotions. Oh, my camera went black. During the time that the NWA had a strong territory system set up. And so now that the NWA is introducing a territory system once again, I am curious as to what Jaden's thoughts are about this new territory that's coming to the NWA. And I would like to pick his brain and yours, DK, is who do you think will be the next member to join?
So the next member, who?
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. The next member to join. I hope it's not. I hope they. All right. I hope they go somewhere smart and not just try to throw in something that'll grab a lot of attention. You can use Game Changer Wrestling, but I don't think Game Changer Wrestling needs the NWA name, and I think that'll hurt the NWA more than it would help. Yes, I know the big Chris dogs out there would sit there and do that meme of the white liquid all over everything while they're sitting in their underwear, from South Park. If they found out Game Changer Wrestling would be out there, but I mean, this is not a shot at Game Changer. I don't think it's mutually beneficial for either of them to do this. So, but I think, the NWA would think it would be, and that's what scares me. I would like to see, obviously, Joe Kazana promotions. I would like to see, maybe now that Heels is no longer in production, maybe maybe Wildcat will come back. That'll be kind of cool. See Hawk Ari and stuff like that back in the NWA too would be kind of nice. It would be awesome if Ohio Valley Wrestling. I don't know, again, if you watched EC3 on OVW this week, but even if it was a non-title match, it was made to feel really important. And I think that's something that OVW could benefit from, especially now, again, if there is a CW show in the works, and this rumor is true. I think OVW definitely benefits by having Shiro and Godders and everybody in that whole group, everybody that's has anything to bring to that. I think that would be great for both OVW and the NWA, especially if there is a season 2 of The Wrestler or Wrestlers or whatever they're calling it.
Wrestlers, plural.
So I think that'll be very beneficial for both of them, and that'll help them both get their names out there. I think it'll also, again, put a positive spotlight on the OVW wrestlers. So now that the NWA has the TV, and that's something, that puts a spotlight on them, the wrestlers, again, their value is going to be a lot more. Their cost is, their price tag is going to be a lot higher, but it's probably going to be much worth it. TV isn't what it used to be, but it's still better than nothing. So, and network TV, free network television is bigger than, to this day, is still bigger than anything on cable. I don't have cable. I know way more people that have cable now than do. I watch most of my wrestling on the internet, but if I wanted to, I could hook rabbit ears to my TV and get CW. And I know people that still do that. They have a combination of rabbit ears and Tubi.
Wow.
So, I know people that don't even have the internet. It's weird as it is in 2023.
Wait, people who don't have the internet? Seriously?
Yeah. I know people that don't have the internet. They have a flip phone. And
okay. Wow.
Yeah. And not only people DK's age either. I mean, like people at least 30 or 40 years younger. So about 60.
Just out of curiosity, do these people hang out by corners much? And do you ever see them wearing aluminum foil on their head?
No, and they don't put it on their TV antennas either. But no, it's seriously, actually, it does remind me of a funny story. I once convinced a guy that the little slips in the 50s and 20s and stuff like that were actually microphones and chips that were recording. And now from that point forward, that guy only paid in $1 bills. But
chips sound really good right now.
Yes, I could use some chips and some queso. What was the original question? I completely forgot what we were talking about.
Members who would make sense as future members of the NWA as affiliates.
Well, again, OVW, Joe Kazana Promotions. I know it will never happen, but it'd be so much fun if Championship Wrestling from Hollywood would be, just because. I know a lot of people would just absolutely go nuts. I know it's not going to happen, but it'd be one of those things that would just make so many people happy and piss so many people off at the same exact time that it's almost worth making it happen. We need a great person to negotiate that, a great negotiator, because I know I I have a better chance of getting a full head of hair again. But it would be so much fun just to piss so many people off while doing that.
Who would it piss off?
Who wouldn't it?
Look, I bet you if you've surveyed this group chat right now, the 20 plus people that are in this scrolling conversation on the side screen here, I bet you more than half of them. I would bet 90% of them would say, yes, I want the NWA to work with Championship Wrestling from Hollywood again.
Take that same poll and poll every former NWA promoter not named Lawrence Zirconium.
Okay, that's fair. That's all right. You got me. I'm gonna put the post up.
Hell, it'll probably piss off Dave and Billy too. That would make it even more fun.
I was gonna say, actually, they were the two I was thinking of. So
I'm gonna put up the poll right now. DK, why don't you tell us who you think would make a good affiliate to the NWA? No mention of any Texas promotions so far.
I don't know if there are any Texas promotions that would make good affiliates at the moment.
Okay.
Most of them here are.
What are you, a pirate?
Yes, are just what they are. Small indie promotions that hopefully last long enough and draw a couple hundred long enough,
Maybe Dane and Storm should do something together.
There's a promotion, New Texas Pro, that's somewhere either, I don't know if Houston or Beaumont or somewhere in between or both or whatever, down in that area, the Louisiana part of Southeast Texas. And, from what I can see, they put on some pretty good shows and everything. So they might be a possibility, but if you expect it to be a mutual relationship, I don't know what they offer the NWA. NWA would be good for them. I don't know what they would offer the NWA. But that aside, I mean, for me, the obvious one, if your first promotion is promotion that is your world champion, I would probably assume at some point the promotion that belongs to the family of your women's and women's tag team champion would probably, maybe end up being involved.
So are you saying Crossfire Wrestling?
Yeah, if that's the one
that's the Page family promotion, or the Henry family.
Yeah.
What about the Hart family promotion? What about Bret Hart's promotion?
Well, that still exists. Dungeon Championship Wrestling. Their former heavyweight champion is now the SmackDown general manager, and he was all set to defend against Harry Smith, and now they had to throw that match completely out because Harry Smith had some serious medical issues, and the champion's now working for SmackDown.
Well, still, I think that could be interesting. If it would be beneficial for the NWA, I don't know, but I think that would be interesting. Who else is out there that's really worth beneficial for both?
And I think that's the big question: is who is out there?
Okay.
Rodney Mack and Jazz is, honestly, I don't know a whole lot about it, other than it's kind of where they get their school.
Can I start listing my suggestions?
You can.
I don't know. Can you?
Well, I agree with what Jaden said first. The first promotion I'm surprised that it wasn't the first promotion announced, which was Joe Kazana Promotions.
It's because EC3 is the world champion. That's probably the only reason.
Look, Joe Kazana came on this podcast, and he was a bigger NWA cheerleader than I am, but he was very positive about the NWA, expressed how much he loved being a part of the NWA. Hell, their promotion does the ring crew stuff for them. So when they're in Nashville, that's a Joe Kazana ring that they're in.
Joe Kazana Promotions, don't you lie to me? Make yourself a territory and get your wrestlers on TV.
That's pretty good, Jaden. I'm
I literally
impressed.
just made that up. I didn't even know where I was going to go with it.
But just to continue on with that thought, there's a lot of talent that's already on both programs. So, I mean, currently the Joe Kazana Promotions heavyweight champion is through Billy Silas Mason. Obviously, the Kazana boys spend a lot of time working for their pops and the NWA. We have seen Kenzie, Kylie, and Ella Envy work in on that program. They've already used Tom and they already use Kamille frequently. They also use Jeremiah Plunkett. So anytime I can see more JP on my TV, I'm excited about that. So yeah, I think that's the obvious choice. Now, when we step outside of, and the thing about it is there's like maybe 4 different promotions in Tennessee that would make a lot of sense, but I don't think you slice up that pie so thinly in one area, because all kidding aside, you know, you've got Joe Kazana Promotions. You also have the Crossfire Wrestling. Those are 2 promotions I think would both make sense for the NWA, but in proximity, they're very close to each other. Then you also have a promotion a little further down called Innovative Pro Wrestling, which I think I know for sure Tony Givens has mentioned he wouldn't mind working with the NWA again, and he produces some pretty decent talent down there. And then another promotion, who I hate to say it might get me some heat with some of my family and friends over here, but Memphis Wrestling, currently affiliated with the United Wrestling Network, produces weekly television. They use a lot of the NWA talent whenever they can. They've brought in Aldis, they've brought in Adonis, they've brought in Kamille, they've brought in Latimer. I think they brought in Latimer. That would be somebody who, at the very least, the conversation might be worth having if you want to go that thin in the Tennessee market.
Well, I could see Memphis. I don't see Innovate.
Okay.
And this goes back to what we had talked about before. Tony Givens was a good local promoter and good at putting his thing over. Tony Givens when Jack Sting was world champion, he brought him in several times in a mid-card position. And, he really only had like 2 or 3 matches that were where he put his top guy against the NWA champion once. I guess really only 2, because one of them was Ricky Morton. And things like that. He has that mentality that we're talking about earlier. He doesn't want to bring in a national champion. He doesn't want to bring in a other champion, have his guys keep putting them over. He wants his championship to be the main event. And he's not wanting to bring look, who was it? Aldis went there one time, and I don't remember who he wrestled, but he wrestled one of their guys. And there was a dispute because Givens didn't want his guy to lose. And so I can't remember if they did like a draw or double count out or double disqualification or something at the end. But basically, Aldis was showing up to be the champion, help get his local guy over through a loss, and Givens was like, no, I don't want him to lose. And I was like, So
I'm going to say this, and it's going to piss people off. If you don't want your champion to lose, if you don't know how to get your guy over by losing to the world heavyweight champion, you're not a booker. You're just a guy who throws matches on.
So, look, that's just, and none of what I'm saying is a secret. You can look at his booking history and see what happens and stuff like that. And he's not the only one that's ever said things like that to me. I talked to a Texas NWA promoter, and he was basically saying, he goes, I'm not bringing my guy in to lose to the, at the time that North American title too, to lose to the national champion, lose to the North American champion, and lose to the world champion. And it's like, Well, I mean, I can.
And there's a person, honestly, who was a mark and wasn't a promoter, wasn't a booker.
Yeah, and so I don't know they have to lose every time, but there is a way you get things. I mean, if you ever look at one of the things, if you ever go watch Jerry Lawler versus Harley Race, then you understand how you book some title matches. Because at the end of that match, nobody cared about Jerry Lawler versus Harley Race anymore. And for those who don't know what happened, Jimmy Valiant interfered and hit Lawler with a bottle and basically ended the match in a DQ. He attacked Race. He attacked Lawler primarily. And by the time that was done, Race was gone. And, those two feuded for the next 4 months.
Getting back to the original question topic was wrestling promotions who would make a good fit for NWA. And, you mentioned Wildcat, Jaden, but I think another promotion that they're working with right now has been that Boca Raton Wrestling in Florida. There's also, they're doing that joint show that's coming up later this month in Florida, the night before they do the TV tapings in Sarasota, the Invasion show that they're doing with Fight the World Wrestling. And I could see that promotion perhaps maybe becoming an affiliate of the NWA as well.
Real quick, in that poster, who was that Ryback on Wish or Temu?
Oh, I don't know who that gentleman is. I know who you're talking about. The dude with the chains, right?
Yeah.
If you want, I'll find out.
There's also a Ricky Starks on Temu on the other side.
Yeah. Let me see. I'm looking up their roster right now. I think that's Gary Reno, if I had to guess.
Which
and
one?
I think the Temu Ryback, the gentleman with the chain, and then the Ricky Starks looking gentleman, I believe, is Jack Gallo. I could be wrong, but I think it's Jack Gallo, who is currently, I believe, a title holder for them. The Gen X champion, I think. So.
When are they going to have the Millennial champion?
Well, much like everything else, they got passed up.
Yeah, that's right. They don't want to work for it.
I don't think Mike noticed who was on that poster at all. So.
Rosville says for West Coast representation, how about Defy? They recognized the old NWA Portland title with the past year. They also produce stars, so the exchange would have to make sense. Defy does have a very top tier wrestling promotion. I don't know that they are like TV ready per se, but they do have a lot of good talent, including the Midnight Heat, former United Wrestling Network Tag Team Champions. I do know that they use the 1%, or I think they call them the what do they call them? The West Coast Wrecking Crew, Royce Isaacs and Jarrell Nelson as a tag team. So that might be not a bad choice. Willie Bowen says Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, and I'll tell you this as somebody who's quite familiar with the ownership of PWG, and one of my very good friends used to be part of that circle, not an owner, but part of that circle. He's told me that they have zero interest in doing anything with anybody. They're happy to have William Regal come in and evaluate their talent. They're very happy to have sellout shows every time they do stuff, but they will never be a part of an NWA or any kind of group like that. Rosville also brings up that Swerve came out of Defy, so that's pretty cool. Matthew Underwood says, yes, Royce Isaac's homecoming. That's maybe the only way you get him back in an NWA ring is if it's an affiliated NWA ring. So who do you think is going to be the next affiliate then? Are we saying Joe Kazana collectively?
Probably, logistically, logically, safe bet, yeah.
I mean, I think he's a safe bet, but I don't know because I don't really know what Billy's looking for, and I don't really know. Even with EC3's group, he's stuck that Midwest in there, title name, and again to, I guess, market the territory idea. And so, honestly, I'm trying not to really overthink it or think too much about it at all. It'd probably be a good way to kill an hour if I couldn't sleep tonight. But in general, like Wildcat makes sense, but then they haven't really worked with Wildcat recently. I don't know what the feelings are between them. I don't know how well that relationship ended. I just don't know with Billy. I get the feeling he's not just looking for promotions for the sake of adding promotions, which is something that's happened before. And I don't think he's doing that. I think if he's adding a promotion, he's got to see some sort of advantage in having them as a member, other than just being able to say, oh, we got 27 affiliates and, 3 run, regularly, and the rest of them may or may not. And that type of thing. So it's just, it's hard for me to judge because Billy's hard to figure out sometimes. He's also talked international. So international where? Is there somebody in Australia he's talked to? AAA in Mexico? Is there somebody in the United Kingdom? Somebody in Japan? I don't know. Some people thought, I've heard, what's the name of that promotion that Max recently won a title in?
Oh, the TJPW.
Yeah. So, I heard somebody say maybe they're joining or whatever. This kind of goes back to the TV. There's going to be a lot of speculation, but there's nobody out there for me outside of Kazana that just makes a hell of a lot of sense to me from both people's perspective, both promotions' perspective.
I have one more promotion that I want to suggest. I want to get both of your guys' take on it because it is almost exclusively a women's wrestling promotion. But what about Mission Pro?
Thunder Rosa?
Well, although she's still part owner, I don't think you're going to really see much of her at those shows these days, considering her schedule with AEW.
She hasn't wrestled anywhere these days.
No, she's been injured. She's been out, but I feel like she's also broadcasting in the SAP audio for AEW. So I don't think she's at the Mission Pro events anymore.
Can't believe you just called her a sap.
Me either.
Some would say that I'm a simp for Thunder Rosa.
No, it's definitely Ella Envy.
I'm a big Ella Envy fan.
Anyway, I could see that. I don't know. I don't really know who is running Mission Pro.
Brian.
Is it Brian?
Get him on and ask him.
That might not be a bad idea.
It's just, do you guys think I'm right or wrong in just the fact that, Billy's not just looking to add promotions for the sake of adding promotions?
Oh yeah, God, he shouldn't either.
No, to be quite honest, I think the only promotions that get the invite, if we're being 100% realistic, are promotions that already have an existing relationship with the NWA. Billy Corgan's huge on trust. Billy Corgan's huge on that connection. And once you lose trust, we've seen it in the NWA leadership over the years. There's a lot of faces that are gone because trust went out the window. And I don't feel like you're going to see an NWA affiliate that isn't respected and revered by Mr. William Patrick Corgan. So when we say fight the World Wrestling, well, I don't know if they're the exact owners of the of that promotion, but I know Mikirio and Natalia Markova both are part of the coaching staff for that wrestling school. So I feel like, the fact that Billy's going to be at that event might be a dead giveaway. I don't know that Billy has any relationship right now with the Henry family, but that I'm not going to say it would discount them, but I don't think that's going to that's not going to endear him to them just because that he uses his daughters. I feel it's going to be all about relationships with Billy. If you've trusted, if you've worked together, maybe like a Boca Raton, maybe like they're not going to ask AAA to be a part of their alliance, but I'm sure that working agreement will continue. I think you're going to have that working relationship in order to be a part of it.
Yeah, and that's where I'm kind of like, I don't. That's why for me it's a question that I can't answer easily. I mean, who's next is really, I have no clue. We can talk about who may make sense from our perspective. Billy's always been a little bit different than our way of thinking. So, I mean, I don't know. And this is one of those things that's going to be 100% him. And so I don't know. All you can hope for is that they're good promotions that have good talent. That, that's it.
I don't know what made me think of this. Maybe because we're talking about Billy Corgan and Since the World's a Vampire. But I remember we were talking about Kevin Thorne and Gangrel the other day, and there's actually a card coming up where they're on opposite sides of the ring. I saw the poster. I have to find it and try to post it and send it to you guys. I meant to do it, and I forgot where I saw it.
Going back to the poll, we did have we have 20 people watching, so the fact that only 10 of you voted is very disappointing. But nevertheless, I do want to say that 80% of the vote was for yes. Technically, it would be 90% because our pal Luthez accidentally voted no, which is what I said was 90% of you would be happy if they worked together. So I feel validated.
How many NWA promoters voted?
None. 0. Zip, 0, zilch. And that's kind of our show for the night, guys. I mean, we hit everything. What else do you want to talk about?
Loki?
I watched the first 2 episodes, and so far I'm not loving it.
How can you not? What are you, McDonald's?
Yeah, well, maybe I need to watch it again. Like the kids were running around. It wasn't nighttime, so the sun was kind of coming in and hitting the TV. It was just hard to get into, I guess. Maybe it was. I'll blame the kids on this one.
I wanted to go heel on you. Jeez. I'm under the bus.
Blame the kids. Yeah,
blame Canada.
I like the idea of blaming the kids.
It's all your fault, Tim.
It's all Tim's fault.
Blame Canada.
I blame Tim's wife.
Blame Raluca.
Very good, Jaden. The Reluchador, if you will. Eric Dell, that's those are fighting words. Comic book movies have run their course. Did you hear that Deadpool got pushed back, and that Captain America is now taking that spot in March?
Captain America?
Yeah,
the black one, the one that Jay doesn't like.
What are you saying, dude? I love that guy, Sam Wilson.
What was his previous name?
The Falcon, Sam Wilson.
On your left.
On your left, that's right. Look at that.
Jay did that on purpose. He tried to go black to prove me wrong.
You voiced her into existence, Jaden.
Oh, said the name 3 times, or
Reluchador.
Yeah. Look what happens. Captain America. Oh, by the way, do either of you ever watch the weekend update things on Saturday Night Live anymore?
Yes, because those are all the jokes that I give Jay that he left out hysterically.
Jay, go on YouTube. And
oh wait, I think I know what you're talking about when they write the jokes for the other person.
And they don't see them until they're reading them.
I feel like that's me every time when I'm on the show with you guys. You say something about me, and I'm like, oh, okay.
My favorite one calls like, and try not to get one of us killed.
Can I do that for you guys?
Sometimes.
Nah, not at all.
All right. Well, hey.
I'm the funny one, DK's the grumpy one, and Jay's the racist one.
You can't say that, Jay. You'll get demonetized.
No, I think I'm allowed to say it under the circumstances. Hey, if you are wanting to watch some NWA action this weekend and are bummed out because we're still a week away from Samhain, you can see Colby Corino this Saturday defending his junior heavyweight championship against Fodder at AMLW. He'll also be defending his title against C.W. Anderson this Sunday at the PWF wrestling in I'm looking at the poster and I don't see a city. Newport, North Carolina. Also, also, Colby will be defending the junior heavyweight championship in Saylorville.
Is that a Timu Matt Riddle?
Yeah, I was about to say the exact same thing.
I think that's Mr. Kinsey Page to you, sir. Also at Black Harvest, we already went down the card, but there's going to be a lot of NWA talent at that event. Our world's heavyweight champion will be defending this weekend as well as this Saturday, October 21st. He'll be at Outlaw Wrestling, which is not very close to our pal Jaden whatsoever, but the 10 pounds of gold will be on the line when he defends against Timeless Crowbar, the original Timeless, if you will. And the very next day...
Real quick. Also on that card is multiple-time NWA champion Danny Doring. He was NWA Over the Top champion. He was NWA Florida champion. He was NWA Force One champion. Probably more. I'm missing.
Real quick. Hello, Mother. Hello, Father. That'll never be old to me, by the way.
Nope.
I saw where him and as the Make-A-Wish Davey Richards married Davey Richards' ex.
It's, first of all, it's not Make-A-Wish. That's so much worse. It's Wish. It's Wish. Make-A-Wish is not, we don't joke around about that on this show.
Well, maybe.
And yeah, they did get married. So did Joe Galley and his fiance, the one that he proposed to at last year's, was it 74th anniversary show? They got married.
Oh, no. Damn well about time, then.
Also, our world's heavyweight champion will be defending against Pat Buck, AEW executive Pat Buck, and that'll be happening at the Rahway Rec Center.
No relation.
What's that?
No relation.
No relation to what?
To the Jacksons.
Oh. Okay.
The Young Bucks. He's
Sure. That will be available on Premiere. A lot of these shows actually will.
Something I just thought of.
All right.
Sorry to interrupt you in your
You're
thing,
good.
but if I don't say it now, I'll forget.
Please cut him off.
Did you see what our former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, what's his name? Former Zack Ryder. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Cardona?
Matt Cardona?
Yes, sir. He answered 5 questions today on Twitter.
And one of them was about MLW and...
Well, what belt did he want to collect next? And he said the MLW World Heavyweight Championship. To which the current champion wasn't so thrilled to hear.
Be a good match, though.
Probably, honestly, ever since Hammer lost the title, I have not watched them. So
Play favorites much?
yeah, that actually brings a interesting question that I have that we can maybe close the show on.
All right.
MLW, especially with their TV fusion, have always kind of promoted themselves as we got something for everyone.
Yes.
Is that smart, or are you better off going niche? And the reason I ask this question is because there are some things on MLW that I like, but there were a lot of things on MLW that I did not like. And I don't like every style of wrestling because I'm an old grump. And so, you know, if you have 4 matches and I don't like the style of 3 of them because you're trying to do a fusion, is that smart, or is doing that smart, or is doing that, are you missing a chance to develop a market for yourself? And I want to hear Jaden first, if you don't mind, Jay, because
No, that's fine.
As someone who works with different promotions, I'm curious as to his thoughts.
You can work a hybrid or a fusion style with multiple things and make a lot of people happy, as long as what you're putting on there doesn't disenfranchise people that you might want to try to get. You might be able to do a luchador match with, say, an old school wrestling match, and might be able to make a large amount of the crowd happy. But you're probably not going to be able to do a midget match and a hardcore match and make those same people that might have liked the luchador match and the old school wrestling match happy. You have to be able to be pick and choose. You can, again, the best part about good wrestling promotions is there is a wide variety, so it doesn't look like you're watching the same thing. And I think that's part of the the WWE's problem right now is so much looks so similar. Too much of one thing. I mean, I like vanilla ice cream, but if I only ate vanilla ice cream, I wouldn't like it. I like cheese pizza, but sometimes I like it with pepperoni. Sometimes I like it with sausage. Sometimes I like extra cheese.
Making me hungry.
I know. I mean, I am too. But you have to be able to give somebody something of similar enough flavor that's close enough that you can make them happy. You know, it just because they like tacos doesn't mean they like fish tacos. So I'm going into the food analogies again. So you have to be able to kind of keep a more consistent style things. You can give variety. That's why there is chocolate, vanilla, and everything ice cream, but it doesn't mean you got tuna fish ice cream is just way too out there to try to make those vanilla ice cream people happy. No, I'm with ice cream.
My opinion is
I gained 10 pounds, by the way, listening to Jay.
my opinion is this. There's a reason why 31 flavors exists, because people like variety. I feel like that's good for them. It's not good for everybody. And I think with having that all-inclusive style makes them niche. I don't think the NWA should try to have midget wrestling and hardcore matches.
Why not? They have Orlando.
And Lucha Libre. I think the NWA is fine the way it is. And they
have Lucha Libre too.
Yeah.
The clowns and yeah.
I mean, look. Watching La Rebelión and wrestling against the Brothers of Funstruction versus watching La Rebelión in Tijuana or Mexico City, it's a very different tag team. Not completely different, but different enough. And in that I've watched more wrestling in Mexico this year than I have in California. I could say that with a little bit of authority that they tone it back when they're in the NWA. It's not genuine the way you would see it in Mexico, Lucha Libre. But what I will say is this is like I feel like MLW is smart to take that approach because no one else can really do that. Game Changer shouldn't go out and try to have a sweet science wrestling show. The NWA shouldn't try to book hardcore wrestling, although I guess that's what we're getting this weekend or next weekend. I feel like MLW is niche in that it is all inclusive. And if everyone else started doing that, then I think the whole genre would be kind of wasted.
I'm going to use one counter argument.
Sure.
To use food analogies because I'm hungry now. But yeah, exactly. I understand what you're saying. There's a reason 31 flavors exist, but I don't have
ice cream.
I don't have to eat all 31 flavors.
No, you don't.
I mean, my wife, ex-wife now, loved Luby's cafeteria. And so did I. And 80% of the time I went in there, I got the roast beef, and sometimes I'd get like a chicken fried steak or something different.
Ooh,
every time my wife went in there, she got their fried whitefish because it was something she loved from that place and was the only place she could get it. And so it didn't matter that Luby's had, 7 different
fish dishes,
entrees, and dozens of sides. She got the same 3 things every time she went in there. And so, well, I understand the concept of, well, yeah, places offer different flavors. I don't have to deal with them. And so if I'm watching MLW, though, I have to deal. It would be like going into 31 flavors and saying, okay, I want
sell chicken.
I want vanilla ice cream. And they go, great. Now here's you some strawberry, and here's you some pistachio, and here's you some chocolate almond fudge, and a scoop of vanilla.
I'd die with 2 of those ice creams. Anyway, I'm going to again go with the food analogy. Pizza Hut. It sells pizza. Sometimes you can get something else like pasta dishes or breadsticks. You know what they don't sell? Hamburgers, fried chicken, tacos, fish tacos, taco fish. They don't sell any of that. You go to Pizza Hut because you want pizza. You don't go to Pizza Hut and then all of a sudden, well, we're not going to give you pizza. We're going to give you sausage gravy on biscuits, which was what I was originally going to call it. You don't go to Pizza Hut for that. It's like, and why go to MLW if you might like pizza, but if they're stuffing hamburgers and fish tacos down your throat, then it's not great.
I love.
Shh, don't tell them.
That's a great point, and what you're saying makes a lot of sense. But what I would counter that is sometimes I want to go to a buffet so I can have a cornucopia of different flavors. And if I don't want a cornucopia of different flavors and I just want a slice of pizza, then guess what? I'm going to go where I can get the best pizza. And if I want Mexican food, I'm going to go where I get the best Mexican food. But if I want to sample a variety of flavor, well, then I'm going to go to the best buffet in town. And I feel like that is what MLW is your buffet. It is not Domino's Pizza that's trying to shove ice cream in your mouth. It is not, Chili's trying to get you to have some what sounds good at Chili's? Some fajitas, right? No. They are trying to say, if you want a smorgasbord of flavor, come to MLW.
And
if you want hardcore wrestling, go to Game Changer. You want more traditional style pro wrestling, check out the NWA. If you want high flying, like extreme wrestling, hey, maybe you want to watch AEW. There's so much different places to eat that what makes MLW different is that they are that buffet that you can come in. They are that golden corral, if you will. You want a little bit of steak? Cool. You want a slice of pizza? Cool. You want some French fries? We got it. Everything's there for you. Is it the best?
You said golden corral. There's only one flavor in golden corral. Bland.
Well, and for the record, I don't think there was a right or wrong answer. It was just something I was wanting to get thoughts on. Unfortunately, we turned it into something about food and stuff. And I'll counter Jay's buffet argument with, every now and then I like a good buffet, but one of the things that you often know about buffets is that they have a lot of food, good food, but they rarely have great food.
Look, one of my favorite places to go in Vegas is the Wynn Buffet, and it's incredibly expensive. And especially taking kids, it's almost it's moronic to take kids to this buffet, but everything there is pretty good. The last time I went, it wasn't. So I hear you. I hear what you're saying. But
down in Atlantic City, they have some great buffets. I never ever had to pay for it because they always paid me to eat there.
Wasn't that the strip club ones?
No, there was nothing I would eat in those strip clubs. Nothing at all. But
all right.
especially
start off with that one.
let's call it a night, gentlemen. I think we've outstayed our welcomed. But I do want to say thank you guys for checking us out. You guys were here pretty much the entire time. I appreciate you guys being interactive on the show. If you like this show, please like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends. We are building an army. No, we're building an alliance, a genuine community for you, the wrestling fans. We have a Discord. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on Facebook. We're everywhere you want to be. We're like your MasterCard or American Express. I don't know.
He's on X.
I'm still on X for now until they start charging. What's that? Same. You can follow us there or really anywhere where you can be social. I also want to say thanks to everyone who's been watching the shorts and sharing them and stuff. That's a cute dog, DK. What's his name?
This one here is Socks.
I like Socks. That's a good dog. But yeah,
that's
you could.
Just my baby dog. That's just my baby dog. Sorry.
That's all right. You can follow us there. Of course, DKM, how can they follow you?
At DKM FWTX. Twitter's about the only place where I really talk about wrestling things. Don't annoy me.
Jaden, I know you don't have social media, but do you want to plug the Good Doctor's socials?
Everything, just go to dogprowrestling.com or dogwrestling.com. It's dogwrestling.com, right?
I don't even know anymore.
Yeah, you're right. I think it's dogwrestling.com and just click all the links. Make sure you go to the YouTube page, though, because we're not far from 1,000. And like, comment, subscribe, share. If you want to become a member, I'm sure Dr. Zirconium will give you something. Anybody gets a member, you get the chop. You get every time somebody joins as a member for the dog page, Patch chops Dave Dahl.
I think, realistically, I think that would be a very funny thing for you to have Dave Dahl do is when you guys hit to 1,000. The video should be 1,000 chops for Dave Dahl.
Yes. Turn him into a hamburger.
Did you say throw him in a hamburger?
Throw him in the wood chipper would probably be more realistic. I said turn him into a hamburger.
Okay. Dog Pro Wrestling currently sits at 910 subscribers. If you haven't already subscribed, I would consider it a personal favor, as Dog Pro Wrestling has been a great friend to the Alliance over the past years. They continuously send us talent to interview. They always hype us up on social media.
Doesn't Alliance Gold have some belt he wants to give away or something for doing that?
I think he gave away all of his belts. And half the time they got stolen in the mail. So, but yeah, if you guys could do that, that would be great. I would appreciate it. We're going to wrap it up here. Next Thursday, I want you guys all to come back, because next Thursday, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be madness as the collection of the Alliance. And I'm talking myself, of course, but the irrehensible Jaden, the yelling at the clouds DKM, the fantasy booker Dave Scooby, the championship wrestling from Jeremy, and Alliance Gold will all be here and converge on this channel as we preview, predict, and talk about Samhain, the pay-per-view that's coming up next Saturday. So if you guys would like to join us for that, it should be a lot of fun. And then, of course, pre-party on Tuesday.
Pre-party!
One of these days I'm going to have some co-hosts for that. But all right, that's it. We're going to go. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you guys. Wait, where's my thing? There it is. Wait.
At the matches. Buy the shirts.
Buy the shirts at the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are The Alliance.